Call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Knauss.
Here.
Mr. Donahue.
Here.
Mr. Hanna.
Here.
Ms. McCready.
Here.
Mr. McQueen.
Here.
Mr. O'Day.
Here.
Ms. Zamara.
Here.
Notice of this meeting was provided to the Bernardsville News, Courier News, and the Star Ledger, filed with the municipal clerk and posted on the municipal bulletin board on January 3rd, 2020. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Alrighty. So, do I have a motion to go into closed session?
I move. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so for the public, we were gonna go in the conference room, so you don't have to leave. Hopefully this will be, how long do we think? 20 minutes maybe? Okay, so you're free to wait and eat the cookies and chat among yourselves.
Go outside.
here tonight. As I don't know if anybody remembers, we did have a discussion about what the council wants to do is a comprehensive recreational plan, since we purchased new materials and we passed the referendum to allow the use of 100% of the open space income that we make, the interest, as to up to, we could use any portion of it. We may not want to use it all in 1 year, but the point was to have a plan, a vision of what it is that the community wants done with our public lands. So that's why we asked several companies to give us proposals. I think we heard from one a while ago, and we have Suburban here tonight to tell us what they can do for us. So it's all yours, guys.
Okay, thank you very much, Mayor. I know you wanted me to live with us for about 15, 20 minutes, was it?
Yeah.
So I don't want to take up all your night. And
Oh, we're used to that. We're always here late.
yeah, so some brief introductions. My name's Joe Perot. I'm a landscape architect, park planner, sports field designer. I'm a principal and partner at Suburban Consulting Engineers. Our office is from here in Flanders, New Jersey. That's our headquarters office. We also have an office in Monmouth County, down in Wall Township, and an office in Alpharetta, Georgia. With me tonight is Chris Kemper.
Hello.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Chris.
Landscape architect. I got my master's in landscape architecture from Rutgers. I worked in New Jersey for a little bit, then I worked over in the city, and now I'm back working in New Jersey with Suburban down in the Wall Township office.
So a little bit about, I have a lot of slides, and I don't want to go through them all and spend a lot of time on them because we only have 15 minutes. So again, I want to thank you for the opportunity of meeting with you tonight and presenting information. A lot of what described in the scope of work is in the proposal that I believe council received. I think we put it together, I think it was the end of September or October. So there's a whole document there. So a little bit about Suburban Consulting Engineers. We're more than just engineers. We're landscape architects, planners, environmentalists, geospatial specialists, GIS, data collection, land surveying. We do a little bit of everything. We don't design buildings. We're not building architects, but we bring architects on our team where we need them to provide specialized services. The group that I run and manage is the Park Recreation Athletic Facility Design Group. I've been doing this for 33 years. Graduated from Rutgers University 33 years ago. Designing parks and site plans and everything else, but my niche is parks, recreation, not just active recreation, but passive recreation as well, and then other specialty things that come out of it. Prior to joining Suburban Consulting 10 years ago, I was at a national engineering, planning, and design firm that had offices in New Jersey as well as 28 other offices in the country. So I had to work on park, recreation, facilities, and master plans through the entire East Coast, but also some out west as well. These are a lot of the services that we do related to facility master planning and design, all different parts of recreation, passive and active recreation. Our group at Suburban has a very strong team of engineers, landscape architects, park planners, and designers. We have close to, I think it's about 40 projects right now in the last 12 to 15 years that have won awards of design excellence from New Jersey Recreation and Parks Association, National Society of Engineers. Just recently, I received 2 national awards from the American Sports Builders Association for 2 athletic facilities and sports projects that we designed the last 2 years. So some of the projects that we've done that are similar to your scope of work, and you tell me if I just start to talk too fast. Sometimes I talk fast, I try to get a lot in at the same time. I've been involved with over a dozen different master plans for municipalities and counties in New Jersey and Eastern Pennsylvania alone. On the table, I brought some hard copies of what some of them are, like actually look like. I can't leave those with you, but we can always get you some digital copies if you want to look at the scope of work. So I just have some slides of some of the projects here to go through it. I don't want to waste a lot of time on this, but it's all in the proposal that we sent of our previous experience. It is the Borough of Little Silver. We did a recreation master plan for them. They're in Monmouth County, nice little town down there. We did Most recently, Township of Edison, Park and Recreation Master Plan, a very large town. Their population is approaching 90 or 100,000 people. This thing's kind of mind of its own sometimes. Burlington County Parks and Open Space Master Plan, I wrote the master plan when the Parks Department was just starting. There was one part, it was an old prison, a prison museum, and developed the entire master plan for Burlington County, which is the largest county in the state of New Jersey. And that project was recognized with an award of excellence in planning and design from the American Society of Landscape Architects. Village of Ridgewood worked on a master plan, parks, fields, facilities, which was a combination of 27 sites, which included municipal facilities and school facilities. Marlborough Township in Monmouth County, Parks and Recreation Master Plan, facilities inventory, as well as some input on the community input end. Haddonfield Parks and Recreation Master Plan, that's in the southwest part of New Jersey. East Hanover Parks and Recreation Master Plan, that included a needs analysis and a master plan for parks and recreation facilities, not too far away from here in Morris County. Warminster Township Park Master Plan, this was a little bit of a town and a little bit of a giant site. It was a naval warfare air center. You see the landing strip in the middle, which the township took ownership of it. It's in Warminster, Pennsylvania. Did a master plan for that one site alone in multiple phases. That's one of the thick documents on the table there with all the options of all the community needs, the input, facilities, how to look at how the entire site was going to be not just funded, but then maintained and staffed, etc. Did a master plan for a park facilities, which would be developed in phases over many years and costed many millions of dollars, and it hasn't all been built yet. It was up back when we wrote that it was 52 million of improvements altogether, which nobody has now. Also, larger county size master planning projects I've worked on in Lehigh County in Pennsylvania. Trails master plans in Mount Laurel Township in Burlington County, linking and connecting different sites throughout the township, like parks, municipal facilities such as schools, fields, trails, walkways, bikeways. A specific master plan just for that. A member of my team, Kirk Danielson, who isn't here tonight. He's in Disney World with his family this week, so he couldn't be here tonight, but there's a project that Kirk worked on in the city of Jersey City, over 60 different parks, big and small, and very detailed. Other municipalities, Teaneck, Brick Township, Oceanport. I just want to go through that. There's a lot more of that, examples on the table and in the proposal that we sent you. We also look at different things when we're working with the community, not just the items that the community brings to us, and we'll talk about the needs analysis, but we talk about different trends in recreation, having experience throughout the country and involved in different organizations, not just New Jersey Recreation Parks, but also the National Recreation Parks Association, Sustainable New Jersey, other programs that include different elements that would be part of your park and recreation master plan. So we look at a lot of things, and a lot of trends now are environmental education and design, of course, noting the historic and cultural aspects of your community, which Bernardsville has plenty of, has a lot in your community. We look at other elements of rain gardens, green infrastructure. We do this in every project that we do now, not just a park. We do it in schools, we do it in site plans, and we incorporate that as an educational component. In some aspects, this is one we did in Elizabeth, New Jersey, where this is all a rain garden, and then there's signage of how a rain garden works to educate the public. We also are working on things now where there's like a scanner code where it comes up in an app, and you can see it and watch a video on your phone of how these things work. We do a lot of design work related to parks. This was for Burlington County Park System, where we wanted to get around a lake that wasn't accessible. So I said, let's go through it. So we designed a floating walkway that floats on the top of Smithville Lake with different platforms. And then we use that as outdoor educational spaces and gathering spaces for the public. So we come up with different ideas sometimes that some people might not do right at first. But we try to implement different things, and we see a lot of different trends. What doesn't work, what works in one community doesn't always work in another. In more urban communities, they want a lot of gathering spaces. We have to fit a lot into a little space. This is a park, this is an award-winning part of a park. This is just a little stage where a lot of the amphitheaters or stages we do are pretty large and they have roofs. This is just a platform space. We put a backdrop wall in the back, just because there was a church and other areas that would take away from the performances, but they have performances out here, concerts every Monday night. This is in a redeveloping section of Asbury Park, which this was an area of gang violence. I mean, the whole area has been redeveloped. Senior community center across the street, it's being redeveloped. It's nowhere near the waterfront where all the expensive homes are. But this park has won many awards from different organizations in the state of New Jersey. I couldn't bring the entire project team tonight. As I said, Kirk is on vacation. Kirk works hand in hand with Chris, who's here on the bottom left. We also have, our firm has 8 landscape architects altogether, but we only need this team. We have 4 designers working on this project, landscape architecture, master planning, with input from other planners, environmental experts within our firm as we develop different aspects of your scope of work. So getting into your project, the comprehensive park rec master plan, which is going to serve as the map, the plan for the future of your parks department, or how it gets developed in the future. So different ways to do that. You want to get the input from the community. And part of what the master plan includes, there are different phases as part of it. There's the planning phase, existing program and analysis phase, the needs analysis from the people in the community to get their input, recommendations from us for improvements, and the cost analysis and priorities that we develop, and then we put it together in reports, presentations, and an implementation plan of how you're going to do it. So the planning phase, the first phase, we have to develop a steering committee who's going to be a part of it. We do demographic analysis of population and income, and we look at different trends. We look at previous studies and policy reviews. We do funding analysis, and we prepare a technical report and presentation. Each of those phases has a different component to it. I'm not going to read through each one. It's all in the proposal. In fact, your RFP that you put out was very thorough, comprehensive. It was a scope of work that I've seen before, either from other municipalities that do it, or it's actually, a lot of it was the same format that I use when I write proposals of these main elements. So they're proven steps and proven aspects of a Parks and Recreation Master Plan. So whoever put that together, great job in researching it and putting all the important aspects together. So part of it, what we include, is the physical assessment of everything you have in your park system now. I'm going to turn that over to Chris, and this is a big part of what he would be doing.
Yeah, so we would take a look at, all the parks and recreation, open space that you have in the town. And then we would actually go out and do a physical assessment of the park, and we're gonna look for things, like actual condition of pavement and all that. But in addition to that, we're gonna be looking at things for like ADA compliance, making sure, say like playground equipment matches up with like safety guidelines. And then also evaluating, the programs and services that are happening at the facility and seeing if they're, being served the best that they possibly could, or if there's room for improvements.
So that was an example of a typical form. We look at each site and then we check off accessibility, safety zones and playgrounds, fall heights. We look at setbacks and different characteristics. We look at everything in the park from a safety standpoint and a usability standpoint.
Would you also look at undeveloped open space?
Yeah, that would come, that's a separate part. This is existing facility assessment form. The needs analysis phase, this is very important because your plan is only going to be as successful as, number one, you implement it later and you get the consensus and the input from the public. They're your customers, they're the people that are going to be using it, they're the people that are paying for the improvements over time. So the needs analysis phase has different meetings, which we would coordinate with you. We would have input meetings. We create a survey, a written survey. We have it in meetings, we put it on the website. We also collect them, we tabulate them to get the results to see what do the residents really want. I mean, do they want more, you know, it's not always just active recreation, it's passive recreation. They want trails, parks, walkways, you know, different trends in recreation, pickleball courts, bocce courts, shuffleboard courts. Another thing that hasn't really hit us yet, but it's coming, it's already in parts of the country, programming in your rec department for esports. You know, the game, it's not just kids playing, you know, Madden and stuff on the game, but esports where they work, they recreate as a group and other kids, and there's a whole social aspect of it and everything that it's just starting to develop in the bigger communities that are hearing what the people say. They're hearing, hey, my kids always play video games all the time. I can't get him out of his room. You know, whatever. There's other ways where they actually communicate and socialize with other kids. It's not just, you know, the typical kid in his parents' basement playing video games 20 hours a day. There are different aspects to recreation. You know, same with seniors and other elements of components that you have to have these public study and the surveys and ways for people to voice their opinion of different ideas, what they may want or they may not know about it. And some of it comes out after the presentations. Again, public meetings, when we look at individual sites, undeveloped properties, Johnny brought up the question about when we look at sites. As part of what we do, we look at the existing sites, we develop concept plans, cost estimates, et cetera. But your undeveloped sites, we would look at, right, how can this be developed? We go through the wish list of items that come out from the public meetings, and we start to develop concept plans with that. When we do that, we can have public meetings, big design charrettes, where you have input meetings, and we do a lot of that in communities. We do a lot of it with schools. We get the children involved. We do it with the recreation department, where you have these visiting sessions where you invite the community and project stakeholders to come in. They learn about the master plan process. We talk about the needs and desires of the community. We talk about the pros and cons of what the community envisions and their needs. How does it work? Who's going to pay for it? How's it going to work? Is it done in phases, in time? You know, we implement the survey and the questionnaire. We compile all these elements together and we put it down. And sometimes people are like, well, I like this park, I like this, I do this, or sometimes we have to redo a whole park. When I get to that, my favorite saying is, okay, we're doing this, in order to make an omelet, you gotta break some eggs. So, boom, we start, sometimes you gotta start with a whole new clean canvas where we get everybody's input as part of the meeting. It's not our vision, I mean, it's our job to implement the vision for each site and your plan of what your people want. If you just design what we want, or if I just designed what we thought would be the best for everybody, every park and community would look the same. So each park and each master plan should have the character and the needs of the community of where it's situated, where it's located. Again, these are just items about the surveys. After the planning phase, we have recommendations where we talk about different recommendations to park policy, programming, facility improvements. We develop a capital improvement program. I'll show you some pictures of it, and then a technical report. Again, these are like park concept diagrams in the beginning, how a site can work. You know, if you have a vacant piece of land, we do concept plans, we do concepts, we do estimates, you know, a broad range of estimate, which later gets developed as more construction type drawings are developed. This is all based on a concept plan. Capital improvement program is where we say you have your park and your concept plans, and the name of them are here, and then we take the estimates, you know, say it's $500,000 to do a park job, but it can't all be done at once. So we look at, you know, different years. We can break it out from 5 years to 8 years to 10 years, and we implement a priority phase over how many every years you want for each different park. So sometimes you can do all one park at once, but then your other 3, 4 more parks are sitting there doing nothing. A lot of municipalities like to do a little bit in each park, but we know we have a master plan for the grand picture of everything, which may not be done for 10 or 20 years once funding is all available. You have a plan of where you want to go in the future, and you can use that plan to go and chase grant opportunities, loans, sponsorships from corporations or other donors, etc. again, capital improvement programs. This is a large part. This is a bigger one. This is Jersey City, 60-something parks. It's pretty complicated. The urban areas, they have more tax dollars or funding and things that do it. So these are some of the capital improvement programs that we've developed. Some a little bit simpler, or broken out, like each year they were gonna do a separate park, and it was broken out over 10 years. Draft and final reports, implementation of, how it's gonna move forward. Approval of the master plan by local government, incorporate the Park and Rec master plan into the overall borough master plan. You submit it to Green Acres for approval. There's your sites, some of them might be on your ROSI, your Recreation Open Space Inventory. Green Acres likes to see planning and how you're gonna improve things over time. Different states do things differently. In Pennsylvania, they used to have more funding for planning right up front and fund more of these kind of studies. But when funding got tight, they kind of, it was very limited to make it happen. Again, in project schedule, we took a standard schedule. A process such as this can be done in 11 months. It could be done, we've done it in less in some communities. We stretched out a schedule for the different phases over a period of 11 months. This could be tightened up, but the important thing is to have regular meetings, because you have to stay on top of it with meetings. Each phase, we have meetings every month. Sometimes you may need a meeting quicker, may have it in 2 or 3 weeks, and the schedule was provided in the proposal as well. I spoke pretty quickly. I went over in some time, but I had a lot of information. We have more information, and not to sound like a salesman and like just throw a bunch of stuff at you. It is a lot of information. A lot of it's in the proposal. I don't want to have to didn't have to reiterate it back to you. But enough of me talking. If you guys have any questions or anything, we can answer now or even another time.
Just a quick one. Are you dealing with facilities in addition to parks? Are you also doing municipal pools?
Yeah, we've designed a lot of pools. We're redoing the pool in Newton right now, Memorial Pool. We're doing pools in South Orange. We just did a huge aquatic complex in Trenton, for the city of Trenton. Done all those small municipal pool projects in East Brunswick. So in your master plan, we would look at that. We would ask the public, do you want a pool? Do you have a pool? What's at the pool that you don't have? Do you want a spray park? A lot of municipalities, they don't have a pool. A lot of them are adding more and more spray parks or splash boards. Splash parks around. We're designing a splash park right now for the town of Clinton, in a little park that they have. We've done some really big stuff over in the city of Hoboken. They've been my client for 30 years. Well, we just did another big one in Elizabeth. Client, a lot of the urban areas, they need more of these little parks and stuff spread out all over the city because they have a huge population, and a lot of them are in all different parts of all different neighborhoods.
Do you have any tricks of the trade for reaching the elderly who may not do surveys, that may not be on internet, and that's about 15% of our population?
Well, we would typically have several public meetings in town hall. They may not want to come out, to a public meeting. Some people it's difficult. We can go if there is a senior center, or if there's a particular senior
No, you're gonna have to design that.
housing. Yeah, if there's a particular senior housing area where if there's not a rec center, but if there's a place where
But it's shared with Basin
where seniors live, we can go there and have a little, like a sub meeting.
So you go to that, okay.
We can go to them just so, a lot of seniors don't get involved in things, or they don't want to come out, or it's difficult. The meetings are at night, we got meetings during the day. My 82-year-old father-in-law is great in technology, and he's better with his phone than I am, I think, but I don't know how he learned it.
Let me follow on to Councilman Hammond's question about surveys, because I think this is one of the real advantages we have of hiring an outside firm to help us with this. Our practice has been to put something up on the borough's website, and whoever wants to answers it. Whoever's not that plugged into the internet or isn't aware of it doesn't answer it.
Yeah,
so we don't really know when we get the results in. It's hard for us to say with lots of confidence. This is really representative of our community of 8,000.
Yes.
So help us with how your surveys might be more representative of the 8,000 people who live
So
here.
suggestions is you have the public meetings and advertise them,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you need more than one. I did a little pocket park of less than 7,000 square feet in Hoboken, and everything they do regarding recreation in the city, whether it's changing out a play structure or something, you have to publicly advertise it, and we have to have public meetings and get input from it. What I would do is, what I would suggest, you advertise a public meeting, not everybody, you see what how many people show up, right? You distribute surveys there. You can also put them online for them to be distributed. And then you can do the same meeting a couple of times, or if that doesn't work, what you do then is a lot of times you go out to get more input through different avenues, and that could be through the schools, for people and families that have children. You do it through mailings or correspondence from the township, like, I don't know what your utilities and things are, but if you mail like water bills, tax bills, those things, you try to get it out, through advertisement, through those bills or other elements, and those things, it ends up taking a little bit longer in the time schedule, but you want to try to get input from everybody. You try to link it with other aspects where you do get some input, or somebody calls, you have them, you have a link to something that goes, hey, could you fill out the survey? If there's on your website, if people are going in there to find out when, the recycling day is or something, and if a pop-up can come up and say, hey, you should participate in this survey. There's also other ways to get input from the public through different services in the town, whether it be through the business district, or you get some commercial facilities to try to help you promote it, where they may have the surveys or availability to it, or to promote it in their business. Even if it's just a little flyer. We got here early today, and I like to set up, and we're like, okay, where are we gonna go to eat? So I'm looking around, I look for one pizza place, it's closed, we go to another place, we end up at a little tiny place called Anthony's, and I'm there and I'm looking around, they've got little posters advertising a fundraiser in February for, I forget what it was, but it was a colorful little thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's different ways in different towns where you get a population to respond. 8,000 isn't a huge population, it's not tiny, but you want to get as many people as you can to get that cross section. And believe me,
I think that's it. I think our challenge has always been getting a cross section of everybody.
Because usually you'll get the sports organizations, people with children, they're like, it's good, I want more of this. And then you get other people, but you're right, the seniors a lot of times don't know about it, or they're reluctant to respond, but you have to try and get an equal input from everybody. So it's not like just putting up a sign and whoever responds. It takes some work to try to get that input. And we're local. We're New Jersey started firm. We're all local. We have team members that live nearby. We have some that cover the whole state. That doesn't help you, but we have the experience of working on different kinds of projects from Camden and Philadelphia to Hoboken and New York and Trenton, and and even just all around Somerset and Morris County. So we're a local team. We have the experience, and we're all from here. But
So once you have a master plan in place, how do you project, assess which parts of the plan provide the most value to a community? And then I didn't see it in your RFP. How do you assess value once projects are completed, either from a financial perspective and or public opinion, public feelings, and those types of things?
So once the plan is to move it forward, to get the input, and to get things moving forward to get implemented. Implementation is over time, just like your master plan update that was done in 2016. There's implementation items and schedules that are listed to make it successful. To do that With a park facility, you can have a follow-up phase where after something developed, you can have a group or committee, whether it be this group or a rec committee or another ad hoc committee, go out to actually review it. You can do a separate survey later to get the input of the people that are now using the park to see what they think of it. You know, it's not like a post-mortem kind of thing, but it's just to stay a follow-up, and it's something that you may want to do as your plan develops and continues on. Another phase that, hey, the master plan's done, we're starting to implement this, but as they are implemented, you know, how are we doing? You know, that's a good question to ask, which could be a follow-up phase to the master plan, which could be added, but I think really that's something that, you know, the governing body and the people in charge of the recreation facilities would want to know. Follow up, how are we doing? How is it working? You know, what can we do better? You know, you always have to ask that question. All right, yeah, you did a great job. I love this park, or you did a great job on the project. People say that to us all the time, even the projects that win awards. I say, that's good, thank you very much, but what could we have done better? What could we have done differently that would have served your needs better? I think the governing body and the people in charge have to ask that to the consumer, you know, to see how they feel about it.
So you discussed, you know, development plans as part of the proposal, like you plan for development of this space, plan for development of that space.
Yep.
I think there's also a constituency that is interested in preserving some of our open spaces, preserved
Open
open
space
space.
preservation.
So I'm assuming that when you mention development plans, that's not to say 100% of everything gets developed. You're saying within the overall needs of the town, you'd be looking at both development as well as preservation opportunities, both.
Correct. Well, I didn't show you a graphic of it, but in the other master plans, we'll look at existing facilities that are already developed. We do concepts of like, all right, how can this be improved? How will it work? Can we fit this? You know, a group of people, they may want dog parks in town. So can we fit a dog park here? Does it make sense? Is it the right spot? You know, some people may want a place for performance areas or a splash pad or spray park. We do plans on your existing parks that you have, and then you have a number of parcels that are publicly owned that are not developed yet. And there's a list in this book of those properties of what they are. Then there's also public lands that are maybe partially developed, but they're not all for parks and recreation yet.
Right. So I was just clarifying that your plan that you would propose to give us would have both aspects addressed.
Yes.
Yes.
We would
Okay.
look at all that.
And again, that would be based on the results of the survey, if people want.
Right.
Yeah, you're gonna get a mix. There's no community that's 100% on board and everything. You know, like in Ridgewood, very active, active fields, facilities. It was teamed with schools. They all wanted tons of facilities, but then there are a lot of people that want open space, preserve open space, and not just here. You have open space. You have some lands that are farms and wooded. You can have preserved open space that is on a lease program that stays farmed. You know, and a farmer may lease it from you to keep it, or you have open space areas that are wooded and they're preserved that way. You know, that's what we would look at and make recommendations. We look at a constraints analysis such as wetlands, floodplains, setbacks, proximity to other uses such as residence, etc. You know, to make those recommendations, to make a logical sense out of it, and work with the steering committee to show them why we made the recommendations, because no community has all the same needs. I mean, some people want development, some people want more preservation. A lot of communities, they want areas to walk and observe nature, or just have that open space feeling that you have in this community that you don't have in a place like Hoboken or more developed space. You know, you're here, you have a beautiful feeling of open space, and some people want to make sure other people know about it, educated, but, you know, not develop it in a way which then it gets, you know, it gets ruined.
Anyone else?
I have a question about the cost schedule, so I was holding it for last. Because I noticed on the sheet it was like there was a fixed fee at the top, but then there were hourly rates at the bottom.
Oh yeah, no, our scope of work, our marketing department, we put a proposal together. It's a fixed fee, lump sum to do the whole work in the master plan. We break it out per the different phases so you can see what it is. Though the hourly rates on the bottom are if something else comes out of it that you want additional work for.
Okay.
But I mean, the scope is comprehensive and thorough of everything that you had in the RFP.
Okay, so there's not additional charges for something like travel fees, delivery charges,
No.
parking?
Yeah, that
Those,
gets
those are,
confusing.
those are if we did something outside of the
Yeah,
scope
if
of
you
work.
revised scope and said, okay, you did the master plan, but now, we want you, I don't know, to do an engineering plan for, a new pool or, whatever, a senior center or something, that would be a separate
I see.
power, it would actually be a separate proposal, but that's
Right.
what the additional, fees, the rates would be, but in the scope of work, it was a lump sum fee.
So anything like if once we get the plan and you say your pool need, would be great if you added this and that, that's in the plan. And then say, okay, we wanna do that, you could give us a proposal to actually do the work.
Yes, to design it, to get it out to bid.
You
So
would do
then-
that part.
Then it would get built.
Okay.
Yeah, that's entire.
So that's a whole
That's
separate
down the
thing.
road,
Right.
that's future, because.
But estimates you said would be included
Well,
in
yeah,
that.
no, we would do
Yeah.
estimates of
Yeah.
all the improvements.
Right.
But, and it's estimates based on the concept plan that's developed, boy, when you have a concept plan, but say then you wanna go out and build, you recently built a turf field, right? So you have estimates and concepts, but then and I don't know how you bid it or not, but plans would get developed and the contractors bid on it and, then it gets built.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's engineering and design and stuff.
But you do that as well.
Oh, yeah, we do,
Yeah.
we do all that, we do the design, and construction management and administration, we do all that, but, it's not, you wanna
No,
develop the
this is
master
the plan.
first.
Yeah, we're looking for the plan first.
To, to get,
Now,
the
we want it
roadmap.
all done now.
So you mentioned that some of the places might be on Green Acres inventory. I believe all of our existing open space and some stuff that we have pending are all
It's
part
on
of
your
our
Rossi.
Green Acres Rossi.
Yes.
I don't
there
think
was a
we
list
have
of, I think,
really,
20-something
I don't think
properties.
we have anything really that wouldn't be on it. Do you see that as a roadblock to anything?
No, and then there might be undeveloped lands out there that aren't on your Rossi, that the borough doesn't own already. So there might be undeveloped land that has a good potential to be something that, and say the borough may wanna purchase it, either through.
Is that within the scope of work though? Is it, you would
We
be?
would look at that, but yeah, if you have areas, say, hey, there's this parcel over here, and can you look at it, what can we fit on that? As part of the master plan.
Yeah, and I think they mentioned some of those in the recreation plan of
Oh, yeah,
other parcels that have been of interest to the open space committee.
yeah, this was a very
And
thorough document.
since we did that, we have purchased 3 more properties.
See?
Pending anyway.
Pending, well, one's definite, 2 are still in the
Yeah.
payment phase.
You're ahead of the game, and I know you have an open space tax at
Yeah.
the municipal level, and Somerset County, I think they give grants to municipalities.
Well, I was just gonna ask you that question. So from your experience working extensively in New Jersey, would you be able to provide us, as part of the capital plan that you were gonna include in the scope of work, ideas for us that we could pursue sources for grants?
Yes.
For some of these projects? Because obviously, we do have some revenue that we can allocate to this, but, having additional grant funding would be, very beneficial. And if you have actual New Jersey experience for that, I think it would be beneficial to.
Our experience is mostly in New Jersey and Pennsylvania, New York, whatever, but in New Jersey, you have different funding sources, you have Green Acres, a lot of it would probably be loans in more urban areas get grants. There's other grants available through the different counties, which you pay county tax. They have different programs where they give money to the municipalities to build and improve different things. There's other grants out there from other groups, depending on the facility that you want to build. There's separate private grants for everything from soccer fields, athletic fields, to dog parks, to skate parks, to tennis courts.
So what I'm asking though is, as part of your capital plan that you would do within the scope of work, would you highlight for us areas of grants that, from your experience might be what we could pursue on our own,
We would identify different grants as an overall blanket. And then the concept plans that are developed with the cost estimates is that would be part of what
Okay.
the application, depending on the grant that you're going for, then that could be used as part of it. And it's always earns you points when you say this is a part of our overall park and recreation master plan. We envisioned this, and this is what we want to do, and this is what we think it's going to cost.
Thank you.
How do you assess what the art of the possible is, in the sense that you could come up with a master plan that's Walt Disney World, you know, it's the Taj Mahal in every park, and that's not realistic. So how do you figure out that, you know, this is really what we can do?
Well, we look at the input of what everybody, of what I call it the wish list from the community, what comes out of the meetings. And we look at how realistic it can fit on a different site, and we look at the different, the cost and the budgetary constraints of it. I've never had anything that was like overly done or like or Disney World, because that would take, in my opinion, it would probably take away from the other aspects that are in that park, or take away from other parks that you have when, you know, like one part's Disney World and the rest is you know, nothing. So I think
But the
how to
plan you're putting
control
together would have sort of the boundaries of what kind of funding we have available to us, right? I mean, you're gonna put together a realistic capital plan,
yes,
not an
and that's
unrealistic
how we
capital
break it
plan.
out. First, we're gonna get all the input, we develop concepts, we put it all down on paper, we tell you what all the improvements would be. Then it's, okay, well, maybe the community wants a spray park, maybe we can't do 2 or 3 spray parks, maybe we can do 1, and this is where it makes most sense to put it, you know. There would be decisions made on what are the priorities. That's why we talked about a prioritization plan of what is going in and what gets done when, because it all gets phased out over time. You know, so, and a lot of it, you know, a lot of municipalities develop the plan, and it can't always be funded every year for the amount that's in there. You can break it down if you know roughly how much you get through open space tax, or you start to add some stuff for grants and things. That's how it has to be managed. And you know, we put things together. We don't have the magic wand.
Yeah, ultimately, it's a recommendation. It's
Yeah.
not a requirement.
Yes.
This is a
We-
guidance for where you would recommend we go.
Yes, and we need input from the municipality, like, okay, we can fund X amount of dollars average per year, you know, what can we do to work with that?
So I know your company has a significant tenure, right? But what about, like, have you guys been expanding, like, in the recent past
Our
for
company?
new hires and things? Yeah.
Well, yeah, when I started there 9 years ago, we were 23, 24 people, we're now over 130 employees. Between, when I started there was one office. There was an office in Annandale, but it was all combined into Mount Arlington. Our team, I started the office in Monmouth County and developed the department between the Monmouth County office and the Flanders office of our landscape architects and designers, where before there was none. And we've grown in Jersey, in different places, geographically with offices, but also in work in the municipalities that we do. And then we've also grown out of state, where we're doing work in many other states where we don't have any offices, which include all the way out to North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, Montana, the entire East Coast from northern Florida to Massachusetts.
Okay.
But we don't need that many offices. We service them from our existing facilities.
I just noticed that the resumes of the people on the list were only a couple years potentially how they were long with the company. And so I was looking really more so as, okay, oh, they did Westfield. Okay, I was trying to look to see how consistently the team had worked together.
Yeah, we've grown a lot, so
Yeah.
a lot of the designers were chosen because of their experience. We get a lot of resumes every week, every day, interviews. For instance, I hired Chris because he worked for a competitor, had great experience working for another large firm in New Jersey, but then it was in New York City, and he also had a great background in education at Rutgers, where I also lecture and teach there every spring semester, but not a whole class, just meet with the students at the undergraduate level and a graduate class in professional practice. So And then of the rest of my team, range in experience, most of them, well, Bob has been around longer than me. They've been working with me for at least 4 or 5 years, the landscape architects, and the engineers, as well. So, but they have many years' experience, but, they've been recruited from other firms that do, what we do. And, we try to get the A players.
Yeah, fair. That's
from
why I was
every team.
asking how much
Yeah.
you've grown. Yeah.
Yeah, we've grown a lot over
Good.
the last, especially the last 5 years.
Thank you.
Okay, we good? Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
for
you.
taking up so much time.
Thank you.
It's
If
great.
you have any questions, you have my contact info, and anytime you can email me, anything, questions or whatever, and we'll get back to you that day.
Thank you.
That's great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We didn't have you on the agenda, but Ed, I know you're gonna need more than 3 minutes, so why don't you
I hope, well, I'll do it as quickly as I can.
do your thing?
And Anthony, thank you for, does everyone have?
You gave us a bunch of
printouts?
information here.
Yeah, I think they really look great. I don't know if some of the professionals got them. Okay, well, here's just a, okay, thanks. The winter market, I think everyone knows, is right downtown in the train station, the vacant building. And we opened on January 4th, got our approval January 3rd. It's been kind of a real whirlwind adventure. We got it from the state, and also we got it from the health department. They were really concerned, I guess for the first time, I think 2 years of data, which we hadn't done in the past, but I think it's much better that we did that, because if there is any problem, we went the extra mile to give them the information. So we're on board. We had 9 vendors the first day, and we had 10 on January 11th. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and that's why I'm here, because there's a lot of, I think really, maybe Paul Sedlak's responsible, because there's been so much talk about reinvigorating the downtown that this is happening downtown. So people are coming. I mean, it's very surprising, and they're asking for more vendors, the ones from the summer, and that's another thing that's, I think, thank Mary Jane for continuing into the train station building. The summer market basically is in the train station building in the winter, although it's not the summer market because lots of fruits and vegetables don't grow in the summer, so it's different. We have different vendors, and I can go over the list, but that'll take a while. I can say just this morning, a cheese vendor, an incredible cheese vendor, wanted to get into the market. So it's really going to be a problem managing this market. My problem, perhaps, but I think it's a good problem for the borough because there's interest. People they're asking for, when is Baker's Bounty coming? Well, they took off for January. Oh, how cruel, they took off for January. So, you know, people do take off. They work all summer, they work all spring, and they take off in January. So, and the pierogi person was supposed to come, and she didn't have a paperwork in, you know? It's like at the last minute, because all these things take time. And so, that's why it's a little rushed, perhaps, that I'm coming before you, but it would be great. I think I have 2 expansions here. I don't look in hindsight. I don't know if I needed this first thing, considering an expansion. But I wanted to let you know that we also wanted to go into the waiting room, and I think I could probably work that out with Doug. I hope. I don't know. He's very quiet now, but you know, but obviously not just Doug. I mean, the whole council has to consider being in the waiting room, which is set aside for other people. But on Saturdays, and it's only in the morning, there's really no one there. So I don't think it's taking away from anyone else. That's why I would propose it. And that would give us maybe three more tables. So if we could add 4 tables, I think it would take the pressure off the people who want to come. And why I'm concerned about the pressure, I know the way people think. One of them actually said, well, if I can't come, I gotta, you know, my boss will, this is a person who works for Bridgetown, which is really one of the people who's been with us for 20 years. If I can't, if we don't make enough money, we can't come. And so they're now on a table in the back, and that area now can be opened up if we open up the waiting room. So I think then she'd come and she'd be happy. Her boss would be happy, really. And George Root is a very wonderful man.
So Doug or Ralph, do we have a restriction from New Jersey Transit in using this room, or they would let us?
I think as long as it's still available for commuters, and I guess there aren't that many commuters on.
Well, yeah, well, thank you, that's why I didn't want to put the burden on Doug. They're really, on Saturday, they're taking the bus, but, I can confirm that. I haven't yet, there was only one train coming by last 2 Saturdays each day, and it was moving cars, it wasn't taking passengers.
But I mean,
They could go.
the bus is, that's a good point, but what if the bus goes away after a week or 3 because they finish construction? But
Sorry?
and they go back to the train. So are we allowed to do this? I guess it sounds like we might be allowed to do it.
Yeah, I think our only obligation under the release is to provide commuter services, which is a waiting area and restroom facilities.
So the waiting area still exists. It's just that there's vendors in there too.
Right, so as long as there's room for the commuters and they're not crowded out, I think we're okay.
So would
Doug,
there
is there a
be-
reason
would there
that-
be seating? Would there be any residual seating left in the waiting
Well,
area?
they're blocking the benches, that's the only thing. I mean,
Are there seats or seating there now?
this is benches around here, these are all benches.
So,
It's a built-in bench.
I understood,
Yeah.
so is there a way to provide at least some seating, not occluding some part of the bench?
I think that's. a
That's
good
why I'm
idea.
here, I don't know.
I think
Well,
that's
if
a
you
good
put
idea.
them this way instead of long way,
We could arrange the tables in a way that allows
put them
people to
this
sit
way?
somewhere.
I mean, this is just
Conceptual.
a draft, so yeah, I mean, so we would basically have to accommodate the commuters, for sure.
Yeah, even if we cordon off an area,
Right,
they're reserved for commuters.
right, oh, okay,
I think that would be helpful.
we put up a sign.
there's also seats outside on the platform itself. There's 2 benches outside.
Yeah, but it's cold.
And then thank you. In fact, I meet people sometimes in the winter, yeah.
Doug, is there a reason why we can't be in that room in terms of I know we had to do some refurb in this whole building.
There's some tiles missing right where this table is. Right, the floor, we talked about repairs that needed and blocking off the kitchen.
Yes, we don't have a divider by the kitchen, that's why we're trying to keep the people out of that area. We're trying to do a temporary repair on that floor this week.
Okay.
That won't be an issue moving forward. One of the concerns I have is that this plan was not approved by the state fire.
So we'd have to
They
do
went with
the,
the original plan. and
Right.
that's what goes through.
so we'd have to have the fire marshal
I
back.
would wanna get this down to them, to get their approval, I don't know if that'll happen before.
And what shape is the bathroom in now? Not good.
But not different from the last 5 years either.
Oh, no,
It's usable. I mean, for a train station bathroom, it's pretty good.
I'm just saying if it isn't any worse than it was before.
It's a train station.
It's operational, yes?
yes.
Okay.
I have a picture of it.
It has the,
Photography
has the
line?
chief approved the tables in front, just a little concerned.
Yeah, which one are we looking at, Ed? There's 2 designs.
Yeah, the first one doesn't have the tents outside. Okay, so the color coding is the blue of the tables we've already done. The green is the new ones that we haven't done yet, and we wanna make sure that's okay. And the green and the yellow would be tents outside, and Malcolm's here tonight, also for a number of reasons, but he can speak to having an indoor-outdoor market. Some of the vendors are so anxious to come, they're willing to be outdoors. So, and a lot of other markets do have indoor-outdoor markets.
I like that.
It looked nice.
Yeah, I'm
think.
just not sure if
And
we're
then
allowed to block the
Well, we'd
sidewalk.
have to, I was hoping Kevin Valentine would be here, because we'd have to really do a parking, detour. We'd have to get rid of the parking spaces right in front of the building,
Right.
but they're not being used anyway, because no one's going into the front of the building to get coffee or sandwiches.
So, yeah, those 10 spots, I believe it was, were actually reserved for the deli.
Right, yeah.
So, they were not commuter parking.
Oh, so this is actually in the parking spot, those 15-minute parking spots? That's where the
Yes.
tent goes, is that what you're saying?
3 tents.
Well, I think Jack just answered
Yeah.
that question, those was reserved for the deli, so
Right.
it wouldn't matter.
Okay.
That's the
Yeah, it's not
15
on the
minutes.
side, it's actually in the parking lot,
Right.
on the spots, got it.
Yes.
Which
What
I
we-
think is
what we
better.
decide-
Sidewalk
We need
block
to
it,
do
so-
though
Yeah,
for
so there's the
safety,
Yeah, it's
sidewalk,
still-
yeah.
I think what we need to do, and that's why I was hoping Kevin would be here, we'd have to get rid of the lanes on the parking spaces on the other side, so the drive-through. I maybe not, I mean, but that's what I was hoping he could look at, the drive-through could be straight across. You know, there'd be lots of room, there'd be like a parking space and the 2 lanes they already have, so it would be maybe extra wide, maybe that's too much, I don't know, but
No,
I would like it to be safety first.
this whole
But I don't,
section.
I don't show everything, but all know the parking lot,
Yeah.
there's a wall, there are parking spaces, there's a drive-through, and then there's more parking spaces than the sidewalk in the building. We would not put anything on the sidewalk.
You could just direct people as they drive in to park on the right, where the outdoor market usually is in the center.
Right, yeah,
Because it's all
sure.
empty.
And then they have to go out that way too.
Just wondering for safety, since we're gonna,
New Jersey Transit.
as considering losing those parking spots for through traffic, we just closed it off.
Right.
Yeah,
So that people would have to go back out to Depot,
Right.
rather than have them going in front of the
Right.
banks.
How do they go park on the other side of the lot?
Yeah,
Right.
what if you wanna go over on the shopper's side?
then you go in
Keep
the
your
other
park
gate.
car there.
The other.
Do what?
Go in through the out,
Car
go in through the out, Christine?
Oh,
Or
God,
over by
yeah,
Somerset
yeah,
Lane.
yeah,
It's gonna take some figuring out, I
Yeah.
didn't think we could get that decided tonight.
yeah, cause sometimes people wanna park in the shopper's parking, do some errands, come back down to the.
Well, one of the benefits, I think of the farmer's market is that it encourages people to be downtown, which helps the businesses to get more shoppers.
Agreed.
So we, you know, and that's actually another thing which I don't know we'll get to tonight. I can mention, well, okay, so I'll mention the other thing that Chief Valentine mentioned, which is that he gave us a courtesy last Saturday where the patrolman did not ticket anybody for using for not paying into the meters. So I'm sorry to put it that way, I got a little head cold. So I said, well, that would be a great incentive for people every Saturday from now on. So I proposed that to him and he said, we'd have to come before the council and the professionals. And I think he even had someone else involved too. So that's not something we can decide tonight, but I'd like you to at least think about it for the future, because having a little holiday like that might encourage people to come downtown. It certainly help the market, but it would encourage people to come downtown.
Well, your proposal actually was twofold. One was to have parking waiver, essentially parking fee waiver for the
Yes.
vendors. And then the second was, would it be possible to do it for the general public as well?
Yes.
And those are really two different items, and I'd have two different concerns, because you can make the case for the vendors, they've got things to pack and unpack, et cetera, and they're gonna be there the whole time. Somebody's just going to the market's gonna be there for a very short period of time, there's plenty of free parking, and how do you determine that somebody's
Well,
there or not?
We can have a sticker that they put on their dashboard.
The vendors you do,
The vendors,
right,
yeah.
Right.
not general public.
Yeah,
so-
I would agree, I think the vendor should definitely have
Yes,
some kind of
okay.
a sticker, but I don't think that we need to waive the,
Cause I'd be concerned if people
So-
go down there and really tie it up.
Maybe we could have
Yeah.
Anthony create a Bernardsville official vendor thing and we just issue it to just the vendors. I
They
don't-
have their license, but that's too much, yeah, I mean, we don't want them to put that.
They could
up
put
there.
it like in
yeah,
there.
it's just like a
It's
card.
paper
they-
that
I have-
you stick on their dashboard.
Yeah,
I have these hang tags that would hang on your rear view mirror, I can,
oh, that's
give
good,
them that, and it has a big square on it where you can write in, I can write farmer's market vendor
yeah,
on that square, on the green, hanging
Okay.
tag, so I can use that if you want.
so we're okay with the vendors getting free parking, yes?
One per
Yes.
table or two per table, what are we saying?
Well, then, what do they
Usually
usually
just
come
have
with,
one.
one?
One per table then?
Yeah, yeah, one per vendor.
One per vendor, yeah,
So
which
can we do
could-
this by resolution, or is that required, because this all was done by ordinance originally, wasn't
It's
it?
all done by ordinance.
We can't change
have
the
to have
parking except by ordinance, right?
That's right, but you can hold enforcement in abeyance.
Right,
It's a temporary.
we could say it's a parking pass,
Isn't it
right?
just like a waiver kind of thing? or-
Exactly.
Yeah,
So it would be in abeyance until the
Until the
ordinance is
ordinance is
changed.
amended, right.
Right.
Okay.
So, Jack, could you craft an ordinance for the next meeting?
Well, it's just, it's
Well, we-
amending, yeah, the current.
Well, we don't need
parking.
an ordinance, do we?
You have to amend
Well,
the
we're gonna
current
do it for the
ordinance.
long term, we
Yes.
should.
Well, we're not.
When you
'cause
talk
we're gonna
about it's
have-
just till March.
We're gonna have a tenant, hopefully, in there
Right.
next year.
I think we should just do the
So-
parking pass and not change our
Yeah,
ordinance.
then I would
Yeah.
just, then I would just approve it.
So if we could,
motion.
can we just do a motion to
Yes.
waive it for
Yep.
January,
People with
March?
the, people who have the mirror tag.
I'll move that.
Second.
And
Do we need it all in favor?
Doug,
I don't,
All in favor?
Aye.
Put it in your head.
What's the matter?
I'm
No,
waiting for Doug.
Please fine, so we're gonna go with plan number 1 for this coming weekend, with the additional tables and
Well, I thought you said we need the fire marshal to.
I'm gonna send it down to them. I just wanna know if that's the plan we wanna send down.
Well, like I
You're
said,
saying versus the indoor outdoor one?
Yeah,
I don't know, which one do we want?
well, the farmers want both, but.
Why don't we send the indoor outdoor one, because if they approve that, then the other one's approved, I would think by default,
Yeah.
right?
This was a caveat that we got to maintain commuter services, so we cordon off some area of the waiting
Yeah.
room, reserve it for commuters.
Right.
I think it's just been done.
Okay,
I don't wanna sound grandiose, but I did think that having people in the farmer's market, the winter market, is also like staging the property, so that, you know, you bring people, a prospective renter down there, and you show them, oh, this is an active part of town, everyone loves it, and
It's
they
open
feel
house.
like, oh, they're gonna do well too, I don't know, maybe I'm.
we've had lots of interest.
Yeah.
Mary Jane, can I ask a process question?
Yes.
So I think we've expressed support for this farmer's market going forward until we get a new tenant. I appreciate that he's brought the plan back from a matter of process. So as long as Doug has agreed that it's within the fire code and what's approved, does it have to, do any changes have to come back, or can we just give him a blanket, look, you have the property, make best use of it, make sure you're considerate, and from Doug's perspective, making sure that things are compliant, versus him having to come back with changes?
I think anything, since we own it, we rent it, anything that gets changed, we need to know if there's something, if it's, because it's actually, a different use than what we originally approved, yes?
but if we send this down and get the okay, I don't think we need to do it again on it.
No,
Yeah, and,
yeah, we're all okay with this, so it's just going down.
and any slight variation of this, right?
Well, if you turn the table this way instead of that way, no,
Okay.
And I would make it subject to police approval as well.
Subject to police approval.
yes. So we need Kevin also to sign off on it.
Well, I would think at any time, if there's issues, the police always have the ability to make a change or whatever, even if it's that day or that morning,
Yeah.
so.
But I think they just, need to know what we're doing here so that they don't get
Yeah.
ticketed for putting up a tent in a
Yes.
parking spot. That would not be good.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm a little
can I
concerned about
open
the
this up
driving
to,
here.
I'm gonna open up to a public session. We have our open session now, so I see people trying to say something. So this is official public, so come up and do your public thing. And if you wanna comment on
I
this.
just wanna follow up on this parking plan. Cause Ed said it, but I'm not sure if it sank in. It seems to me critical that if you're gonna put the outdoor tents in front of the station where there are now parking places, that you must eliminate the parking places directly across from those. That it's gonna be just too dangerous in that
I think
entrance
it's
and exit.
dangerous
What?
with it.
I don't know that I like it.
You're saying let people park there?
No, no,
I'm saying,
no,
I'm saying.
All
Block-
the parking
block
has
it
to go
off.
away, like
block
the,
them, with
the plan, the through lane here, where the parking is.
yeah.
something.
Have
Cones or
no
something.
parking in that whole
Yellow,
section in the front.
yellow tape if necessary and not something that's gonna injure people, but that will keep cars out of them, that's all.
I'm concerned.
Yeah,
about
that's a
that
good
thing.
point. Yeah. Jeff, I think you had your hand, no? Steve, did you wanna say something? So I opened it up and nobody wants to talk now. Glenn, no, something? You good?
As long as the tents all meet fire code and they get their permits.
Ah, they need a permit for the tent, okay.
From fire.
Then it won't be as tall.
Okay, so we're good with this? Do we,
Yes, yay.
Good?
alright, so just
job,
make sure
Ed.
you follow up with Doug
Doug, yeah.
to get that and the police chief, just so he knows what we okayed. We're good?
Yeah, so this is all subject to the police making sure that
Yes.
they're, the fire, yes, for sure, but the police, I'm
police
concerned
and
about this
fire.
parking and driving and
Yeah,
the do not enter signs and all that stuff.
but,
It's never too early to think ahead, and I might be, but just, since it's been such a huge success, and kudos to you, I mean, it's been a huge success. Eventually, we're gonna rent that, and somebody else is gonna be in there. Do we have a plan B for where to relocate it in the
There's
future?
a lot of problems down the road, but one step at a time.
Yeah.
No, I mean, well, that's,
Well,
Jeff, my
maybe,
wife
maybe
answered
next
that
week, maybe less than 12 months away.
No, I mean, I think that well, unfortunately Malcolm left, but I would have thrown that to him because these markets, they're not, 12-month businesses all the time, they're seasonal. So I think the farmers are used to that, and that's one of the reasons they're eager to keep this going is because we gave them a date, March.
I wasn't thinking of the farmers, I was
No,
thinking of the town.
the town.
The town wants to have this, and it's good for the town. So if we can no longer put it in the train station, are you already working on where to put it next?
next
I
winter.
think that's our job.
And actually, I know like Morristown uses an elementary school, they
Yeah.
do it in a school,
Use the
you know,
Hamilton School, yeah.
so.
All right,
what-
we should discuss that. It's a good point.
Yeah,
The green team will discuss it probably on
yeah,
the
yeah,
31st.
but maybe not tonight.
Yeah.
I think
No, not
I
tonight,
think
but
we already
we were
took-
just talking about master planning, and that made me start thinking about all this.
Certainly would be, yeah, let him do it.
Yeah, you need a farmer's market master plan.
It's okay, coming soon. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. Did anyone else from the public want to be heard on any other issues? Okay, then we will close the public session. Items of business. Excuse me. Christine, your public works, right? You want to move the first ordinance?
Yeah, I just have to get back to my agenda. I got it, sorry. I wasn't in the agenda anymore. Booted. Okay. I move that ordinance 2020-1830, appropriating $38,000 from the Sewer Utility Capital Fund for Dayton Crescent sewer repairs, be introduced by title, passed on first reading, published according to law, and that a public hearing be scheduled for a meeting beginning at 6 p.m. Monday, January 27th, 2020.
Second.
That's right, there's supposed to be 6, yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any questions on it? Oh, yeah, that's right, we're doing 6. Chad, you want to move the next one? 'Cause
Sure,
it's-
I move that ordinance 2020-1831, an ordinance rezoning lots 13, 14, and 15 in block 113, and lots 15, 16, and 1.1001 in block 114 from R4 to R5, and amending the Article 12 entitling zoning of the Borough Land Development Code to be introduced by title, passed on first reading, published according to law, and that a public hearing be scheduled for a meeting beginning at 6 p.m. Monday, January 27th, 2020.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Gina, you're on health, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I move that ordinance 2020-1832, an ordinance increasing the number of members on the Borough Board of Health from 5 to 7, and amending Chapter 2 of the Borough Code entitled Administration be introduced by title, passed on first reading, published according to law, and that a public hearing be scheduled for a meeting beginning at 6 p.m. Monday, January 27th, 2020.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now we have resolutions 2021 through 2028. Any discussion or questions on any of these?
So I just have one. So Ralph, this is a process question. And regarding to payment of bills, I assume that bills get put in front of council have been vetted by the CFO and they're accurate, they're ready to be passed, they've been checked Just wanted to make sure. So is that by you or is that by somebody else in the department?
It's actually like a 3-person process.
Okay.
Actually, it goes to, from the department head to our, QPA to check and make sure the quotes, if necessary, were looked at.
Okay.
And then it goes to, my assistant as CFO, who also checks that over and then finally comes to me.
Any other questions? Someone like to move them all?
I move to adopt resolutions 2021 through, why does it say 2027 here? Why does that say 20?
It should be 2028.
28, I changed that,
Typo?
yeah.
Okay. All right, I move to adopt resolutions 2021 to 20-28.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Donahue? Yes. Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Ms. McCready?
Yes.
Mr. McQueen?
Yes.
Mr. O'Day?
Yes.
Ms. Muir?
Yes.
Okay, discussion items, we're up to. So we approved the ad hoc committee which is combining the current revitalization committee into a larger group so that everybody's communicating at one meeting a month, and even though they'll all be working on separate things during the month. So that will include, what did I put on? I still have to add a few more people, but we added some, the attorney, the planner, 2 council people, and myself, and I think I had 2 business people, and then the 5 members of the current revitalization committee. So I just now need to pick a date when we'll meet every month.
On resolution 20, I just noticed on 2023, the redevelopment committee, there's 4 council members there. We can't allow that, can
No,
we?
there's not 4.
Yeah, there's the mayor, the council president. Oh, I assume that the class 4 member of the planning board was a council member, is that?
No.
No, that's
not,
a
okay.
That's a
never mind.
Council members class 3.
Okay, thank you, my error.
Okay, next, this public officials and employment practices liability retention buy-down option. Ralph, you wanna explain that?
This was offered to the members of the GIF, for additional coverage, for a number of various possibilities that could come up in situations for the borough. And it's not something that needs to be done tonight. It can be, if the council needs further information to make a viable decision, we can get that for you. Councilman O'Day gave me a call on this very subject today, and Anthony and I gave you some additional information.
My point, I think after getting the additional information, which I thought was helpful, I think we should review it tomorrow night in our
The
finance committee meeting, and I think that we should bring this back in a January 27th meeting. At that time, it doesn't impact our ability to adopt or not adopt this approach, and it gives us a chance to just take a step back, look at it, and the finance committee can make a recommendation to the full council for the January 27th meeting.
There's no time limit on this or
No, we
anything.
don't have Anthony a check, and we do not
Okay,
have time constraint
good,
on
so
this.
we
We
will
don't-
refer it to the finance committee tomorrow night.
We could even backdate it to January 1st as long as we sign a letter saying we don't have any known claims. So even if we do it January 27th or whenever, we can backdate it to January 1st to get the full
Okay,
thing for it.
all right, then we have the county road resurfacing. The county is telling us they're gonna be paving. I didn't even realize, I didn't know Dryden Road was a county road. And Turnbull. Hopefully they'll tell us when. Cause I know then you have to work around with this school buses and, but. Did they say when? No, they just said 9 to 4 or
Well, they,
would be either day or night. No, they're working on detours.
and it
So
just
what would,
says,
I mean, we'd always prefer, well, except that that's residential and people don't like the night work when it's in their neighborhood.
Are they asking us for input, or they're just informing us that we know?
It
Please
says
advise.
please advise what the borough would be most suitable to
Okay.
for construction hours. To mill and pave. I don't,
During
We
the
don't do
day.
too many neg projects, do we?
only on
I think that
Major-
doesn't
major
need-
arteries.
main
Yeah,
roads. I think daytime would be fine.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we pass that on?
That's okay with me. No.
Yeah,
I'm
is
good.
everybody good with daytime?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, they sent it to John, so.
yeah, so I guess he was asking for our input. Now we have the Salem oak seedlings here. Oh, I didn't do the mayor's update, sorry. The mayor's update. We had on December 20th, the employees' holiday lunch at Bistro 73, which, because Doug and Ralph were down in court, I hosted, but Cheryl did a great job planning it. I think it was well received, and we had good attendance. So thank you for that. January 3rd, I met with Javier Guardo of Planet Civic. And I remember, maybe Jeff, you remember one of our meetings down at the League. Verona, Montclair, and Chatham use this platform called Planet Civic, which allows you to do town hall type meetings online. So we talked about his program, and I told him once we get our vision plan together, we would invite him back, because I'm assuming part of our vision will be public engagement, but it might not. So we'll see, but it was an interesting platform where people can discuss things and weigh in online if they're not here.
It was pretty nifty, kind of crowdsourcing it.
Yeah. Yeah. He also has a business module where the businesses can do the same thing, which I thought was kind of neat. January 6th, I met with Brian Auger, who is the county library administrator, just kind of talking about, if they have resources that we could use to enhance our programs, and I'll be talking more about that with Terry and Shura, but just to see if there's ways that we can help each other. And the Mayor's Wellness Committee met, and we are finalizing our winter wellness crawl for February 9th, so yeah, it's gonna be good. We have,
You're all signed up already. No, just kidding.
yeah.
You
It's on the
should sign
website,
up.
you can sign up, it's free, you can go to different places and
should
try classes, and there'll be
You should
prizes, and it's gonna be a lot of fun, so. January 9th, I attended Watershed Tools for Local Leaders that Raritan Headwaters gave. Christy McDonald, our very own Christy McDonald, was in charge. That was a good program. Talking about some of the projects that we're gonna be doing with rain gardens at the library and here at the pond. January 10th, I met with Pete Perillo, who is with an energy solution company, to see if there were ways that we could save energy in any of our buildings, which I invited Doug to step in, and there was nothing he could do for us, because we've already done everything we could do, so kudos.
Good job.
And I spoke with Joe DeMarco today, and he is gonna be writing a letter on our behalf, again with the Audi property, so that we kind of keep that moving along with redevelopment over there.
At one point, we thought we were gonna meet before the end of the year.
Yeah, it didn't happen, so,
So I would,
yes, the letter
I'd
will
be interested in
strong.
what he has to say.
Yeah, because he's been talking, their attorney has been talking to their developer, and so they've had some things going back and forth, so we're gonna kind of, we need to push that along.
Yeah, great.
So he will be doing that. So that was my report. Okay, so now we get to the Salem oak seedlings. Do we want some?
Yes.
So shall we refer this to the environmental commission, or no, Shade Tree?
Shade Tree.
Shade Tree? Will you, who's Shade Tree now? I appointed somebody.
Actually, Tom is Shade Tree now, but
Am I?
yes,
Yeah.
you are. So, but I would recommend that, they be the arbiter of that, because they'll
Yes.
get the most appropriate place for it. And
Yeah.
nurture it, et cetera.
Yeah,
We get one or more?
Still here?
It seemed like it was singular when I read the letter.
it did
That's
sound
what-
like, yeah, I
that's
think
what-
it's one, and you find a good place for it, and kind of, so,
Where are we gonna put it to? What, I guess we'll let
we'll
Shade
let
Tree
them
do
make a
that.
recommendation to us, so, we'll send that off to Shade Tree.
I say we put it in the the train station. Did you see the historic picture of the intersection in front of the train station? There used to be a tree right in the middle of the
really?
intersection.
Really? Huh.
Back in the horse and buggy days. So I say we put it there.
Well, we'll let them make a recommendation to us. We had correspondence from Bedminster, the mayor there, about the New Jersey American Water rate increase.
Yeah.
So Bedminster is reaching out about trying to get towns to join together to kind of intervene in this.
To fight the increase, is
The
that right?
increase, yeah, because of, well, actually, the 4 towns joined together and they're sharing the legal costs.
Which 4 towns?
Oh, no, he's saying, I'm sorry, I'm reading this wrong. Bedminster has reached out to a law firm experienced in assisting towns with filing as an intervener in these types of cases. In the past, Bedminster, Peapack, Gladstone, Far Hills, and Bernards joined together with the help of this law firm to file as an intervener when Environmental Disposal Corp. Filed with the BPU to increase our sewer rates. The 4 towns joined together and shared the legal costs and won. Mayor Jacobs was suggesting that we come together again to do the same with the water company proposed rate increase. So I guess they're including us now. So if we are interested in sharing in this proposal or would like to attend a meeting with representatives from the law firm, let us know and they'll schedule a meeting. Because actually what happens is if the water increases, so do the sewer fees because it's based on usage. So that will come back to us. When people get a higher sewer bill
And
as
the
well.
proposed increase is substantial too, it was 11.5%.
It was pretty hefty. Yeah, it went from 55.89 to 62.35. 21 cents a day. I mean, that adds up.
11%.
Yeah. So, is that something we would be interested in doing?
I think we should get some gauge of how much it might cost us to be involved and then make the decision based on that. I mean, if they've done one litigation in the past, it might at least be a data point. It wouldn't hurt us to send somebody to the meeting, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
To hear.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, well, let me find out when they're gonna have a meeting and then we'll see who's around to go.
Or can we send a member of staff or we have to send a member of council?
Well, the email actually came from the clerk, but I think it was on behalf of
Sounds like it was behalf of Mayor Jacobs.
of Larry Jacobs, yeah, so.
I think we ought to explore it, I mean,
Yeah,
obviously, we want to
we
know the
find out
costs
the
and all,
information.
but,
Yeah, well, it depends on how many towns join too, which makes a difference in the cost.
Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I believe it probably pertains more to the fee that the borough pays for the fire hydrants and that we pay per hydrant. So I would look and see if it's a rate increase of water usage or if it's a rate increase for fire protection and fire hydrants, because they are doing a rather large water project in Bernardsville this year. Where
Bernardsville?
they're bringing hydrants from Meeker Road all the way down, Mine Brook, Meeker Road, and then a little bit of Lakeview. So they do have a fairly large water main project that they're doing this year, which will also add additional costs because the borough pays for every additional hydrant we add. So we have to, that's why we try and add them only in specific locations and not just arbitrarily every 500 feet.
When you say the borough pays, you mean the borough out of our municipal budget pays for fire hydrants, a fee?
That is correct. You pay the water company out of your municipal budget for those fire hydrants.
So when you're commenting on this, litigation, which we might be a party to or might not be a party to, you're saying that we should consider whether or not it affects, it's being driven by this work that's being done?
I'm just suggesting that it may not just be about a rate increase to the taxpayers. It may be about a rate increase to the borough. Has nothing to do with the volume of water. It also may be a rate increase for the utilization of fire hydrants and fire suppression.
I think it's an important question.
Which is a
Specifically says
fairly
gallons of
large
water in there
number.
though.
Yeah.
Because you're saying it
Oh,
might
it
not.
does
If
say,
I remember
it
correctly, the
says
borough
fire
pays the water
protection.
company a
It
fairly
says-
large amount of money.
Well, I think
The request is
it's not an
driven
either
by
or, both can be true,
and
because
fire
I remember
protection.
they presented, New Jersey American Water presented at the end of last year that they had lost one of their suppliers, and
Yeah.
they went through this whole long discussion of aquifers, and they told us then that the rates were gonna go up because they were having to now import water from farther away.
You have any say on hydro-locations?
Yes, yeah.
So, that could be true, that both are gonna go up for different reasons.
I don't see anything in there that they're talking about.
There's one sentence, I'm on page 65 of what we have. And it says, the request is mainly driven by more than 1 billion in investments associated with providing reliable, high-quality water and wastewater service and fire protection. To
Yeah,
the
but they're
appro-
saying that's this increase in the residential rate is to cover all these other
all those-
improvements.
Right, that's what you're
Yeah.
saying too.
Has this rate increase been before the Public Utility Commission?
That's, they filed it, that's
It's
what, it's just been
filed.
filed, yeah.
So that's why
Chief,
we're here.
Yeah.
are you
They
saying that
have
you don't
filed
think we need all those extra fire hydrants? Is that what you're
That's
trying
not
to
what
say?
I'm saying, I'm just making a statement that that's why we don't just arbitrarily add hydrants when they put water mains in. We put them in specific locations because they do charge the borough for every.
Well, then let me ask you a question again a different way. Do we need additional fire hydrants in Bernardsville?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
So do you have input into where they
Yes,
go?
I do.
Okay. And how many more are we getting?
At this point, I'm not sure. It's probably gonna be in the vicinity of 5 or 6.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if this one. $400.
Someone should go to the meeting. So I think,
Yeah.
we'll go to the meeting, we'll ask them.
We'll find out when the meeting is, so let's check this.
I mean, they might go into this anticipating we'll have to take a haircut in their rate increase and
Yeah.
not challenged.
Okay, next was the email I had shared with you from, this Christina Castelli, who just purchased the building from the New Jersey Academy of Music, who purchased the building that I believe now has Jane's Nails in it, right between Monterey Gourmet and the, Bernardsville. And was asking about, if we ever do any kind of, tax relief for, somebody who wants to make renovations to the property and whatever. Which I had asked Jack, who said, we're not, forget your.
Tax law is set totally by the state, so we can't do anything outside of state statute, and there is no mechanism to give rebates during construction. Now, it may be reflected in their assessment, because we have annual reassessments, that may be during the period of construction, they may be entitled to a lower assessment, and it may be in their best interest to file an appeal and make that argument.
Oh, right.
So Jack, this raises a bigger question for me, because one of the things that's a priority of mine, I know many on this council, is creating a more pro-business environment in this town. What tools do we have available for a new tenant, a new property owner, to either attract new ones and or
Make it easier
for them to do the things that we're hoping that all folks do in this town?
In the tax arena, very few.
Okay.
As I say, everything is set by the state. In fact, the assessor, although he's hired by and paid by the borough, really reports to the county board of taxation and the state. We can't interfere in the assessment process. He's an independent contractor almost in that regard. So that we can appeal an assessment when a taxpayer appeals to file a counterclaim. But there's really not much we can do in the tax area to make money for business.
So when you hear, large company X is moving to outside of New York City, they're gonna have a deferment of taxes for 3 to 5 years. That's all a state-based decision. It can't happen on a local level?
That's correct, or it may be enterprise zones, that sort of thing, but there's nothing that would benefit us in that regard.
Isn't there some possibility that through the redevelopment process?
Well, there is the pilot program through redevelopment,
But we'd have to declare an area of redevelopment, pay for a plan, do that whole process, so.
I don't think that building's
No.
qualifies.
No. When is the, appeal process open again?
The appeal process, it has to be filed by May 1 of every year, so for the 2020 tax year, once they get their assessments, then they have until May 1st to file.
Okay.
And they can do that at the county board.
So the unfortunate answer is we cannot by law.
No, not with, not at least not with taxes.
Welcome to the council.
Yeah. Go like this, put a rope around you. Okay, well, I told her I'd ask, but I may get her on the Cultural Arts Committee, so that'd be good.
Well, the petition of appeal, we can, that's on the Somerset County website.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll give her that
Give
information.
her that,
Yeah,
Yeah, and their instructions, it's a very informative website.
yeah.
yeah.
And she can talk to Ed too. Ed Curley, our
Oh,
assessor.
right.
He's very helpful before the assessments are set. Actually, before the end of the month, if they talk to the assessor, you know, he may be able to do something for this year without filing an appeal.
Okay,
That would be good.
yeah, I will give her his contact information too. Okay, do we have any unfinished business?
I have a question, actually. I know you're a representative on the Census 2020
Yes.
project, and we keep getting these emails from Anthony about the workshops that are gonna be held.
Actually, going to one.
Is there any role for should the council members be attending any of those workshops? Do you envision any role for us, or we're not gonna be doing anything?
I don't think you need to, I mean, I'm going to one that the county's having this week, is it tomorrow? 1 to 3, yeah, are you going to that one too?
No, I'm gonna go to the training session up in, on Saturday. The one that's up, because it's the only one I can get to, the one that's in where.
Bergen County, I think it was, yeah, it was somewhere up in Bergen.
But you know, I mean, I'll share anything I learned with you. I'm also on the county committee.
Yeah.
The
One of the
complete count committee.
Complete
county.
count committee, yeah, and then, I know they're having there's a training tomorrow for
Training
reaching
tomorrow
the difficult
at the
population.
Bridgewater Library.
Right, and that's
Well,
about.
there's several, there's some that are day, some are night, I mean, there's a
Well,
number of
this
them
was,
coming up.
this is, I forget what tomorrow's is, that's different than those
It's
three.
Yeah.
I think it's reaching the hard
one on
to-
Saturday is supposed to be about how to organize local
Right.
complete count assistance.
Mm-hmm.
And my thought was that we could probably use that. You know, we could probably at least use finding out what they've got, and it's being run by the state, not by the county.
Okay, yeah, because the one tomorrow is
And
the
I'll
county.
collect, you know, extra copies of whatever they're handing out.
Okay, no, that would be
Make
great.
sure you get them. But, as I guess most of you know, the county people think that this is going to be a hard to count area, Bernardsville.
Well, parts of it, yeah.
Enough of it that the superintendent of schools for you.
Well, and I think that's what tomorrow's program is about, reaching the harder to reach populations.
Well, exactly.
I think that's the one I'm going to tomorrow.
Yeah.
Why does the county think that? Sorry. Why does the county believe that?
Well, they have a map that shows where the areas are that.
So a couple of the people working on the county have spent in human resources, human services, health and human services, I don't know, something like that, have done some fairly thorough maps of areas of the county that they expect to be hard to count principally because of their immigrant population.
Yeah.
This is
Which we
government
have.
asking for information that people don't wanna give.
Yeah.
So should we as council members, there was like about 4 different choices of times and dates, and should we be going to those or not?
I don't think so.
That's the one that we just got
Right.
yesterday has 3.
Yes.
Okay.
And the only one of those 3 I can go to is the one on
Right.
Saturday.
But
so
I
I'm
don't
gonna try
think,
to do that.
you need to go
I'll
if,
share it.
Terry's going. I mean, well, you know.
I mean, come.
Yeah, if you
know,
want
if
to.
you're interested, sign up and we can drive up and back together. Dr. Hammond, it would be very pleasant not to have to do it alone.
Yeah.
I was thinking the nighttime one. No, I didn't know if there was a role for the council in making sure, or helping to make sure that when the time comes that we get the best count possible.
Time's not that far away either. I mean,
No, it starts in
the
March,
first day.
I think. I thought it was March the first
Well,
letters
I
go
mean,
out or something.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I think now the best thing is communicate with anyone and everyone in town that you can about it and encourage
Yeah.
them to.
And I think the library will have a big
Participate.
role in that
Yes,
as well.
And, the one, okay, the library director and one of the staff members are going to the one tomorrow in
Oh, good,
Bridgewater.
okay.
Shura and Sarah Gillis are going
Alright.
to that, for exactly those reasons.
Uh-huh.
Because they expect to be helpful, and wanna learn how to answer the questions. So if you don't get there, don't worry about it.
No, I'll explain to you.
We're covered,
Yeah.
Bernardsville's covered.
The meeting tomorrow night, is how, this weekend rather, is how to organize a local complete county.
Yes.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah, that's the one that
One
happens.
for, there with me.
Tomorrow is, I think it's reaching difficult populations or something.
Yeah, I think that was right.
It's aimed at people who will actually,
With the link.
who are expecting to
She
be
presented to us.
in a position to be asked and answer questions. To help people actually fill out the forms, go online and so on and so forth.
Right.
It's a down-to-earth kind of hands-on training thing tomorrow.
I would imagine the library is gonna be instrumental.
Yeah, I think between the library and Pastor Dan's Camino de
Is he
Fe.
getting these? Maybe we ought to get him.
Yeah, because he should probably be going to these as well, because he's got a big connection with his church group.
Yeah, I don't have, if you.
I have his contact information.
If you could send these last two to him, that would be good.
Yeah, yeah, because I mean, I spoke to him about it and he wanted to be helpful and
Okay.
was gonna approach it, and he was gonna talk, I don't know if he met with Shura, he wanted to meet with Shura, and I know he
Okay,
met
I
with
don't
the
know if
police
he's done
chief
that
and,
yet either, but you know,
Yeah.
if we can just get him into the loop and,
Yeah.
you know, when
I mean,
Frank is.
he's the guy probably that should be organizing the local
Well, at
committee,
least he should be involved in
Yeah.
this.
because he speaks Spanish. So, anyway, yeah, but, you know, I mean, it's your option, if you wanna go, feel free to go,
Okay,
but I don't think we have to.
I just didn't know if you were, as our leader, was planning a council activity in terms of as
have
we get
enough to
as
do
we get
yet?
closer to things, huh? Well, I wanna make sure we get all the funding we can get, you know?
Yeah. Did we have any new business? Nothing new, okay.
Oh,
What?
I know. Remember I have
Yeah,
somebody reached out to me from Motor Vehicle Commission.
yes.
And Motor Vehicle does the new thing now where they send a mobile DMV.
Right,
So I just want to know if I can investigate that. So it's basically a trailer that comes. So if you have like a license to renew or something that you really dread going to the DMV for, the DMV now comes to towns.
I think that makes good sense. Isn't this the year that you're supposed to get some real ID
Yeah,
to
you
replace
do.
your
You
old
need it.
driver's license?
So it's very
Yeah.
popular.
You need an
and
appointment?
it's-
You can't do the
Yes.
mobile thing?
no, I don't think so, you have to make an appointment, and they're like 3 months out, I think.
Yeah, and it's not all the DMV offices yet either, Tom.
Yeah,
It's no cost.
where would they park?
Well, I was thinking a Saturday at the train station would be cool because the winter market's happening. You could park it on the. I can find out all the logistics, but
I think it's worth looking into. I mean, I don't like going to DMV. I'd rather have them
Neither
come
do
to me.
I. And it's not very close to us. And if there's someone who needs to register a car, but you know what I'm saying, how are you supposed to get to the DMV unless you take an Uber, and then it becomes costly. So I think it's a good service to residents to have.
How often will they do that, like once a year?
Yeah,
or
it's
what?
not
Yeah.
very often, but we would obviously announce it beforehand so people know that it's
Yeah.
coming, and they announce it beforehand. So
Anybody have a problem?
if anybody doesn't object, I'll advise.
Yeah, let us know what, all the
There's no
details.
downside.
There's
Yeah.
no down.
Okay, so now we need a motion for executive session. We're not coming back out, are we?
No.
No.
Wait,
We are.
yes, we.
Oh, we are,
it's
we may
possible.
come out, okay, so we may come back.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Okay, so we are now in executive session.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Did you think?
Okay, we're good?
Yeah,
We're
we're
back in public session. We need a motion. I forgot, for the reorganization chart. What am I doing it? So would somebody like to move to accept the reorganization as presented tonight?
I move to accept the reorganization as accepted tonight.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so Chad, as personnel chair, would you introduce the ordinance for salaries for non-contractual? So we just say, in public, you have to do that whole.
Do you want me to just read this, Mary Jane, at the top?
Need a number?
It's just being
It's number
introduced,
20.
right?
Yeah.
It's 2020-1833.
Okay, so I move to accept 2020
Introduce.
introduce 2020-83.
1833.
1833.
Yeah.
Second reading, public hearing.
Yeah, be introduced by title, do that like from a previous one,
Sorry, let me get the,
because this will be on,
yeah, you got it.
you got it there, just introduced by.
All right. I move to introduce ordinance 2020
1833.
1833 to be introduced by title, passed on first reading, published according to law, and a public hearing be scheduled for a meeting beginning at 6 p.m. Monday, January 27, 2020.
Just read the title of what you're introducing.
The title is an ordinance setting 2020 salaries and hourly rates for non-contractual employees.
All right,
Do we need a second?
no, second,
Second and
I'll
voice vote.
second.
and then just all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Motion to adjourn.
Motion?
Second.
How quick
I think that's seconded before I